Have you ever stopped to think about how many truths about life no one told you when you were 20? The world often throws you into the fire without even teaching you how to light a candle. You might think you're living life, but in reality, you could just be putting out fires that weren't even yours to begin with. It's harsh, but the truth is that no one is coming to save you, and the good news is that you don't need that. Most people spend their most valuable years trying to please others, avoiding mistakes or chasing after things that, deep down, don't really matter that much. Meanwhile, the true keys to success and a fulfilling life remain hidden, not because they are hard to understand, but because few have the courage to see them. Here's the secret. What you need is not more motivation, but a clear set of truths that will drive you to act in an intelligent, strategic, and above all, realistic way. What you're about to discover is not the cliché talk of follow your dreams or work hard and everything will work out. No, these 14 brutal truths are what I wish I had learned in practice, without going through so much frustration, avoidable mistakes, and sleepless nights wondering, what if? Get ready for a dose of reality, the kind that, if you internalize it now, will save you years of regret in the future. Let's get started. Self-awareness is like an internal compass. Without it, you can spend years lost in turbulent seas, investing time and energy in activities that don't bring you joy or real growth. Imagine dedicating a decade trying to become an expert in sales when you actually hate interacting over business calls. It's like trying to plant flowers in barren soil. Frustrating and ineffective. Those who truly know themselves build a solid foundation for a life that reflects their values, passions, and skills. It's about identifying early what ignites your flame and, with courage, saying no to what extinguishes it. Think of a friend who has a talent for creativity but insists on following a traditional corporate career because it's the right thing to do. He struggles to fit in, ignoring his unique passions and abilities. The key here is to accept that living out of alignment with your essence only breeds dissatisfaction and frustration. Self-awareness is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Ask yourself tough questions. Do I really love this, or am I trying to please someone? This reflection can completely change your trajectory. Often, people cling to the fear of disappointing others by pursuing their own desires. But the truth is that the courage to change begins with accepting that you can't please everyone. For instance, delegating tasks you dislike, like accounting, if it drains you, is a way to respect your time and energy. This way you can focus on what truly matters, like developing a creative project or studying something that inspires you. This is the balance between humility and confidence in action. A simple and practical technique to kickstart your self-awareness journey is to keep a journal. Write about how you feel while performing certain tasks or about situations where you felt truly alive. Over time, patterns will start to emerge. You'll notice that some activities spark your creativity, while others drain your energy. This gives you clarity to redefine obstacles and focus on what really matters. If you feel like you're always busy but never truly satisfied, that might be a sign that you're disconnected from who you really are. A practical example would be to list 3 things you love to do and compare them with your daily routine. Are they aligned? If not, it might be time to start letting go of results that don't serve your growth. Acknowledge that saying no to what doesn't represent you is an act of courage and self-love. Self-awareness is like building a customized map for your journey. It helps you navigate more accurately, avoiding shortcuts that lead nowhere. It's a constant practice, much like daily growth. And curiously, the more you know yourself, the easier it becomes to accept different realities and work with them. After all learning begins from within. This brings us directly to another essential pillar, the importance of a consistent routine. Routine is the foundation of a successful life. While many believe that having fixed schedules is a prison, it's actually a form of liberation. When you establish a consistent routine, like going to bed and waking up at the same time, you eliminate unnecessary chaos from your day-to-day life. Imagine waking up every morning not knowing where to start. This not only drains your energy, but also keeps your brain in survival mode instead of growth mode. A well-structured routine, on the contrary, allows you to direct your creativity toward what truly matters. Have you noticed how high-performance athletes follow strict schedules? This isn't by chance. They understand that consistency is the key to continuous improvement. Let's take the example of someone who decides to wake up at 5 a.m. every day to dedicate time to reading or exercising. In the beginning, it's tough, but over time, this habit creates a ripple effect. More energy, more focus, and even more self-confidence. When you master your mornings, it feels like the rest of the day aligns automatically. The trick is to start small, like setting a fixed bedtime, and then adjusting the rest. Why does this work so well? Because our bodies love predictability. Regular sleep, for instance, regulates hormones, improves mood, and increases productivity. Imagine living in a constant state of fatigue due to poor sleep. The impact isn't just physical, but also mental, affecting your ability to solve big problems and stay focused on priorities. Creating a consistent routine is like investing in the health of your future self. It's an act of courage and discipline. Of course, the routine doesn't have to be a set of rigid rules that stifle your creativity. On the contrary, it should be personalized to meet your needs and goals. If you work best in the afternoon, adjust your schedule so that your mornings are dedicated to intentional learning, like reading a chapter of an inspiring book or watching a class on a topic that intrigues you. This way, your routine becomes a tool for daily growth rather than a mundane obligation. Inevitably, interruptions will occur, and that's okay. The important thing is to always return to your center. A good example is creating small rituals that signal to your brain when it's time to focus and when it's time to relax. Something as simple as having a coffee while writing your to-do list can trigger your brain to switch into productivity mode. The secret lies in finding the balance between consistency and flexibility, adjusting to changes without losing sight of your goals. When you start to build a solid routine, you discover something magical: the freedom that comes from organization. Fewer small decisions mean more energy for what truly matters. When this happens, you realize that your health, both physical and mental, becomes the pillar that sustains this consistency. After all, no routine can hold up without a healthy body, but that's a topic for another time. Caring for your health is like protecting the greatest investment of your life, yourself. When it comes to achieving big dreams or overcoming challenges, everything starts with the state of your body and mind. Think about it. What's the point of having grand goals if your body lacks the energy to pursue them? Health, whether physical or mental, is the foundation on which all success is built. Those who ignore this will eventually be forced to prioritize it, but in that case, it's out of necessity, not choice. Imagine treating your body like a $1 million racehorse. Would you feed it junk? Certainly not. You would care for it with rest, quality nutrition, and constant training. That's the level of respect you need to have for your body. Want a practical change? Start with something simple, like drinking more water or swapping ultra-processed foods for more natural options. Small daily improvements create a solid foundation for longevity and performance. Mental health also needs attention. Have you noticed how a period of intense stress drains your creativity and focus? Taking time to meditate, seek therapy, or simply disconnect from technology can have a transformative impact. Prioritizing health means caring not just for the body, but also for the mind. This isn't a luxury. It's essential for maintaining a consistent routine and tackling big problems with clarity. And what about physical exercise? It doesn't have to be a chore. Find an activity that brings you joy. Maybe a morning walk while listening to an inspiring podcast or dance classes to release stress. Moving regularly is a reminder to your body that it's alive and that you're committed to daily growth. Moreover, the positive impact extends to all areas of your life, including your mood and productivity. Another powerful tip: prioritize sleep. It may seem basic, but many underestimate the impact of a good night's rest. Quality sleep helps consolidate memories, regulate mood, and even strengthen your immune system. Establish a routine, create a peaceful sleeping environment, and see the difference in your energy and focus on priorities. Remember, without a healthy body, even the simplest of goals becomes a burden. When you make health a priority, you start to notice how it positively affects your relationships, work, and even your self-confidence. Your energy inspires others by example, motivating them to do the same. Along this journey, you begin to understand that the support circles you choose also have a profound impact on your well-being. Let's talk more about that in the next step. You are the average of the people you spend the most time with. This simple phrase carries immense weight when it comes to self-awareness and personal growth. Surrounding yourself with inspiring and supportive individuals is like planting seeds in fertile soil. Growth is inevitable, Conversely, keeping energy vampires in your life is akin to trying to thrive in concrete. These people drain your motivation, sabotage your goals, and ultimately leave you feeling empty. So, how about evaluating who is around you? Imagine you want to start a business, but every conversation with friends ends with phrases like, "That won't work," or "It's too risky." These words, often disguised as concern, erode your inner confidence. The solution? Identify and cherish those who celebrate your victories, challenge you to dream bigger, and share a long-term mindset. Swapping negative people for healthy support circles isn't selfish. It's emotional survival. Creating these circles may seem challenging, especially if you grew up in an environment where support was scarce. But the good news is you don't need an army of cheerleaders, just a few genuine connections. Seek out communities aligned with your interests, such as study groups, networking events, or even book clubs. A simple example: if you love personal development, why not participate in meetups where people discuss transformative books like The Power of Habit or Mindset, The New Psychology of Success? At the same time, it's important to remember that relationships need to be reciprocal. Ask yourself, am I a source of support for others, or do I just expect to receive? Being a good friend, mentor, or colleague also means offering emotional support, inspiring by example, and being available when others need you. This creates a healthy exchange where everyone benefits, naturally and durably strengthening bonds. Don't be afraid to set boundaries. Not all relationships need to be cut off, but adjusting expectations is crucial. If someone consistently undermines your efforts, explain how it affects you. Be firm yet kind. This balance between humility and confidence is essential for teaching others to treat you with the respect you deserve. The result? More authentic relationships and an environment conducive to overcoming challenges. When you redefine your support circles, you discover the power of being alongside people who share your worldview. They not only celebrate your wins, but also help you see opportunities amid adversity. By accepting that everyone has their own reality and pace, you begin to appreciate the diversity of paths even more. Let's explore this in the next step. Not everyone is going to see the world the same way you do, and that's perfectly fine. Accepting that people have different perspectives is liberating and can save you an immense amount of emotional energy. Often, we want to convince others that our point of view is the right one, but this can turn into an endless battle. Instead of trying to change others' beliefs, focus on your own growth and the example you can set. After all, actions speak louder than words. Think about how many times you've exhausted yourself trying to convince someone to change their opinion, whether about lifestyle, career, or priorities. These debates rarely lead to transformation for either side. On the other hand, when you focus on your own learning and overcoming challenges, the people around you start to notice. It's the power of inspiration through example. Who knows? Seeing your results might lead them to question themselves and eventually decide to change on their own. Accepting different realities doesn't mean agreeing with everything or abandoning your values. It's more about understanding that each person is at a unique stage in their journey. You can offer advice or support, but without attachment to the outcome. A practical example: if a friend insists on maintaining harmful habits, you can gently encourage them, but you shouldn't let that affect your own progress. Focusing on priorities begins with knowing where to invest your energy. This concept also applies to the professional environment. Not everyone at your workplace shares the same vision or ambition as you. Instead of getting frustrated, recognize these differences and find ways to collaborate without compromising your own goals. This requires a balance between humility and confidence, being humble enough to listen to and respect others, yet confident enough to keep your path clear. When well harnessed, diverse thoughts can generate innovative solutions. When you stop fighting against the realities of others, something incredible happens. You gain more time and energy to invest in what really matters. Instead of trying to change someone, you can use that energy to engage in intentional study, solve significant problems, or bolster your inner confidence. Every step taken towards personal growth is a reminder that the only control you truly have is over your own life. Acceptance, however, is not passivity. It's a tool for creating harmony and focus. When you master this art, you realize that differences are not obstacles but opportunities for mutual growth. And speaking of growth, the true key lies in the balance between humility and confidence, the next pillar of the journey. Humility and confidence are not opposites, they are powerful allies for those seeking daily growth and more genuine relationships. True humility is not about belittling yourself or feeling inferior, but recognizing that there's always something new to learn. Likewise, confidence is not arrogance, but a firm belief that you have value and something unique to offer. Finding the balance between these two concepts is essential for inspiring those around you and achieving your goals without losing your essence. Imagine a leader who isn't afraid to admit they don't know everything, yet also doesn't hesitate to make bold decisions when needed. This is the perfect example of someone who balances humility and confidence. Instead of presenting themselves as the owner of the truth, they listen to their team, learn from adversities, and still guide the group with determination. You can apply this in your daily life through small actions like asking for feedback on projects or seeking help when something feels challenging, without undermining your self-esteem. Many people confuse humility with hiding or accepting less than they deserve. In practice, being humble means being honest with yourself and others. For example, quickly acknowledging your mistakes and working to correct them demonstrates a strength that few possess. Meanwhile, confidence is the driving force that propels you forward, even in the face of challenges. Together, these traits create an essential balance for overcoming barriers and maintaining focus on priorities. To reinforce this mindset, adopt a simple practice. Whenever you achieve something significant, ask yourself how you can use it to help others. This keeps your confidence aligned with humility. At the same time, don't be afraid to showcase your skills or speak about your accomplishments. This is not bragging, it's inspiring through example. Those who observe this attitude tend to feel encouraged to seek their own path with balance. Maintaining this harmony also means knowing when to advance and when to step back. For instance, during a heated discussion, sometimes it's wiser to listen and reflect before responding. Other times, it's necessary to stand firm. This ability to read and adapt is what distinguishes those who truly master the art of humility and confidence. It's not something that happens overnight but requires constant practice. When you master this balance, you realize it opens doors that once seemed unreachable. People respect those who demonstrate self-confidence but connect more deeply with those who show humanity. Curiously, it's during the toughest times that this balance is most tested and most needed. And speaking of challenges, the next step is learning to grow through them. Challenges are like storms, difficult to face in the moment, but essential for growth. It's during the hardest times that you discover the depth of your inner strength and learn lessons you'll never forget. Think about it. Difficulties aren't punishments, they're invitations to the next level. Often, it's just when you're about to give up that your greatest breakthrough occurs. These situations are golden opportunities to redefine obstacles and become more resilient. Remember a time when you faced something seemingly insurmountable. Perhaps it was a financial crisis, a difficult breakup, or a health problem. At that moment, it felt impossible to overcome. But looking back, you realize that period prepared you to handle even greater situations. That's how it works. Every challenge is a training ground for the next one. Facing these difficulties with the courage to change is what separates those who grow from those who remain stagnant. Overcoming challenges doesn't mean ignoring the negative feelings they bring. Pain, frustration, and fear are all part of the process. The secret is not to let them paralyze you. A practical example is adopting a mindset of continuous improvement. Ask yourself what you can learn from the situation and how you can use it to grow. Imagine you lost a job. Instead of drowning in despair, view it as an opportunity to explore new possibilities or even start your own business. Another powerful strategy is to break down large problems into smaller parts. If an obstacle seems impossible to overcome, slice it into manageable chunks. For example, if you want to run a marathon but have never trained before, start with a daily walk. This gradual progress reinforces inner confidence and shows that even the biggest challenges can be overcome with consistent small steps. Challenges also have the power to shape your character. They teach you patience, empathy, and resilience. And the most interesting thing is that often by overcoming a difficulty, you become a source of inspiration for others. The people around you start to see that it's possible to grow from adversities and move forward, regardless of the circumstances. Facing challenges with this perspective transforms your outlook on life. It shifts from being about avoiding difficulties to confronting them with purpose and determination. After all, Overcoming obstacles is what prepares the ground for a stronger and more balanced future. But this only works when you commit to a process of continuous improvement, which is the next step in this journey. The idea of constant improvement is simple yet transformative. Every day you have the opportunity to be 1% better than you were yesterday. It may seem insignificant at first, but over time, this daily effort yields exponential results. It's like planting a seed and nurturing it day by day. At first you see only a timid sprout, but with patience and consistency, it grows and flourishes. Continuous improvement is precisely that, the accumulation of small steps that lead to extraordinary achievements. Think about how this applies in practice. If you want to develop a new habit, like reading more, start with just 5 minutes a day. It may seem trivial, but 5 consistent minutes outweigh hours of sporadic reading. Over time, this practice becomes part of your routine, and what was difficult at first becomes automatic. The same applies to any goal, from improving your health to learning a new skill. It's the daily progress that sustains long-term growth. Of course, not every day will be perfect. Sometimes you will face setbacks, and that's completely normal. The secret is not to let a failure erase all the progress you've made. If you miss a day of exercise or give in to the temptation to procrastinate on an important task, don't use that as an excuse to give up. Instead, view it as a learning opportunity and adjust your approach. This resilience is what keeps you on the path of daily growth. Another powerful tool for continuous improvement is feedback. Whether at work, in personal projects, or in relationships, ask those you trust, "What can I do better?" This simple act of humility opens doors to valuable insights and strengthens the balance between humility and confidence. Moreover, hearing external perspectives helps redefine obstacles that you may not have realized existed. Continuous improvement is also linked to focusing on priorities. If you try to improve everything at once, you'll end up scattering your energy. Choose 1 or 2 areas to work on at a time. For example, if your priority is health, focus on improving your diet or establishing an exercise routine before moving on to other aspects. When you simplify, you make progress more tangible and sustainable. Over time, the practice of continuous improvement becomes a philosophy of life. You start to recognize that every small advancement is a victory and that the journey is just as important as the destination. And when this mindset is firmly rooted, you naturally set higher standards for yourself and your interactions. Speaking of which, let's explore in the next step how to teach people to treat you the right way. You teach people how to treat you by what you accept or tolerate. This idea may seem uncomfortable at first, but it is liberating when put into practice. Setting clear standards for your interactions is not just about respect. It's a way to protect your energy and focus on priorities. Imagine how much time and peace of mind you lose by dealing with broken commitments or a lack of consideration from others. Setting boundaries is an act of self-care and a courageous step toward change. Establishing standards begins with something simple: clear communication. If, for example, you value punctuality, make this explicit from the beginning of your relationships. Does a friend or colleague frequently arrive late? Have a respectful but firm conversation. Say something like, "I value our time together, and it would be great if we could start at the agreed time." This kind of dialogue not only reinforces your boundaries but also inspires others to reflect on their own behaviors. However, imposing limits doesn't mean being inflexible. There will always be unexpected situations, and empathy plays a crucial role here. Knowing how to distinguish between an occasional mistake and a pattern of behavior is essential. If someone genuinely strives to respect your boundaries but occasionally fails, allow space for adjustments. But if violations are constant and without remorse, it may be time to reevaluate that connection. Redefining obstacles sometimes means distancing yourself from relationships that don't value you. The standards you set also reflect how you see yourself. If you tolerate disrespect or neglect, you may be unconsciously reinforcing a view of yourself as less important. Conversely, when you communicate and maintain healthy boundaries, you demonstrate self-confidence and self-worth. And this behavior is contagious. Others tend to follow your example. It's like inspiring through action. Your posture teaches more than words. A practical tip is to start small. Choose an area of your life where you feel that boundaries are often ignored and work on that first. For instance, if you feel that colleagues take advantage of your availability, establish specific times to respond to emails or messages. Letting others know you'll be available only at certain moments demonstrates professionalism and focus. Such a simple change can transform the dynamics of several relationships. Over time, maintaining these standards becomes second nature. People learn to respect you, and you gain more time and energy to dedicate to what truly matters. This level of clarity paves the way for something even more powerful: the courage to make bigger changes when necessary. Let's explore that in the next step. There are moments when the only thing standing between you and a better life is the courage to change. Staying stuck in environments, careers, or relationships that don't resonate with who you are can be comfortable, but also suffocating. Making bold changes requires a delicate balance between humility to recognize that something isn't working and confidence to believe that you deserve something better. It's not easy, but it's necessary for growth. Imagine you're in a city or job that drains your energy, but you convince yourself that it's what I have for now. This mentality only postpones the inevitable, a growing sense of dissatisfaction. Making changes can be scary, but the cost of not taking action is much greater. Want an example? Imagine someone deciding to leave a corporate job to pursue an entrepreneurial dream. At first, it's risky and uncertain, but with planning and a focus on priorities, the positive impact on quality of life is immeasurable. Change doesn't mean acting impulsively. It's about making informed yet bold decisions. If you feel you're in the wrong place, start with small actions. Create a list of steps needed for the transition. Research other cities, seek new opportunities, or even start a side project while maintaining financial security. This approach turns what seems like a daunting leap into a series of small steps. The courage to change also means letting go of outcomes. Not everything will go as planned, and that's okay. Perhaps that new job won't be perfect, or the new project takes longer to take off. What truly matters is that you are building a life aligned with your values and aspirations. Embracing the ups and downs of the process is what makes the journey meaningful. Every mistake is a lesson that solidifies your inner confidence and resilience. Interestingly, the more you practice the courage to change, the more natural it becomes. You start to realize that life is full of cycles, and clinging to something out of fear of loss only limits your growth. This courage also inspires those around you, showing that it is possible to redefine obstacles and move forward, even when the path seems unclear. The changes you make today shape the future you desire. When you accept this, you understand that even the greatest challenges can be transformed into opportunities. This leads us to the next step: learning to redefine your concepts of failure and view setbacks constructively. The obstacles you face are not the end of the road. They are redirections. Redefining setbacks is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. When something goes wrong, your first reaction might be despair or frustration. But what if you viewed each difficulty as a disguised opportunity? Often the moments of greatest growth come from those situations that initially seemed like failures. Think of Thomas Edison, who failed over 1,000 times before inventing the electric light bulb. For him, every attempt was just a step closer to success. This is the mindset that transforms obstacles into stepping stones. The next time something doesn't go as planned, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? This simple shift in perspective can change the way you approach challenges and reinforce your resilience. Redefining setbacks also requires letting go of outcomes. Sometimes we become so focused on achieving a specific goal that we overlook the other possibilities that setbacks can reveal. For example, missing out on a job opportunity might be the push you need to explore a career you've never considered. By accepting that not everything is under your control, you open up space for new paths. A practical approach is to keep a learning journal. Whenever something goes wrong, jot down what happened, how you felt, and what you can do differently in the future. This not only helps process the situation, but also creates a record of your growth over time. As months pass, you'll see how each failure contributed to shaping your inner confidence and problem-solving abilities. Moreover, sharing your experiences with others can be transformative. When you talk about your challenges and how you overcame them, you not only reinforce your own journey but also inspire those facing similar situations. This is what it means to inspire by example, showing that it is possible to grow from adversity, no matter how difficult it may be. Over time, you begin to understand that setbacks are inevitable, but how you respond to them is always a choice. That choice defines who you become. When you adopt this mindset, you discover something even more powerful. the freedom that comes from detaching from outcomes. Let's explore this further in the next step. Letting go of outcomes may seem counterintuitive, but it is one of the greatest freedoms you can experience. When you are fixated on a specific result, every step in the journey becomes laden with anxiety and fear of failure. But when you detach, you find an inner confidence that comes from doing your best and letting the rest happen naturally. It's not about lacking ambition, but about trusting the process. Imagine you're investing in a personal or professional project and pouring all your energy into it. If you base your self-worth on the success of that project, every small obstacle becomes overwhelming. Now think about shifting your approach. Focus on the experience, the learning, and the continuous improvement. This way, the outcome stops being a burden and becomes a natural consequence of your effort. This detachment allows you to move with more ease and creativity. A practical example of this is seen in high-performance athletes. They train tirelessly but know they cannot control all factors in a competition: the weather, their opponents, even an unforeseen bad day. Instead of panicking over what's beyond their control, they concentrate on giving their best in the present moment. This is detachment in action, a balance between intentional effort and acceptance. To cultivate this mindset, start practicing daily gratitude. Be thankful for the progress, the lessons learned, and the challenges overcome, regardless of the final outcome. This helps you maintain focus on real priorities, those that truly matter for your growth and well-being, not just for external validation. When you let go of the need for approval or immediate success, you discover a type of freedom that cannot be taken from you. Another important point is that detachment does not mean apathy. On the contrary, it is a commitment to the present moment. It's about acting with intention, studying deeply, and doing everything in your power, but without clinging to the outcome. This also strengthens your resilience, as you learn to view each experience as a step toward the long term, even when immediate results are not as expected. Over time, this detachment transforms your perspective on life. You realize that true success is not the outcome itself, but the personal growth, confidence, and inner peace that come from the journey. And when you are in this state, seeking knowledge and learning becomes a natural pursuit. Speaking of which, let's explore how studying with intention can further accelerate your growth. Reading alone doesn't transform lives. Studying intentionally does. There's a significant difference between skimming through a book and diving deep into its ideas. When you read just to finish pages, you absorb little to nothing. But when you study with intention, highlighting important points, reflecting on concepts, and applying what you've learned, you turn information into action. This is what truly fosters daily growth and lasting change. Think about how many books or articles you've read that seemed amazing at the time, but you can hardly remember now. The issue isn't the reading itself, but the lack of practice in absorbing and applying the material. Instead of just consuming knowledge, ask yourself, how can I use this in my life? For instance, if you're reading about self-awareness, choose a practical exercise from the book and put it into action immediately. Books like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People or Mindset, The New Psychology of Success offer plenty of ideas that you can apply in your daily life. Studying intentionally also involves revisiting the material. Did you know that repetition is one of the most effective ways to consolidate learning? Go back to the main points of a book or course and see how they apply to different moments in your life. This approach reinforces concepts and integrates them into your thinking. A simple example is creating flashcards or summaries that you can regularly consult. Over time, these ideas transition from theory to a part of your behavior. Another effective strategy is to teach what you've learned. When you explain something to someone else, you solidify your own understanding. Join book clubs or share insights with friends and colleagues. This not only helps you retain knowledge, but also inspires others to pursue continuous improvement. It's like solving big problems. When you share solutions, everyone around you grows. Additionally, carefully select your reading materials. Not every piece of content is worth your time and energy. Prioritize materials that align with your goals and values. For example, if your priority is health, study books on nutrition, exercise, or mindfulness. If it's leadership, dive into authors like Simon Sinek or Brené Brown. This intentional curation ensures that each reading is a step toward your aspirations. Studying, in its deepest sense, is an act of transformation. It's about internalizing knowledge so that it becomes part of who you are. And when that happens, you discover something even more powerful. your ability to tackle larger and more complex problems. Let's explore this further. The problems you choose to solve determine the breadth of the life you build. This might sound bold, but it's true. The bigger the challenges you face, the greater your impact and growth will be. Seeking larger problems doesn't mean overwhelming yourself. Rather, it means expanding your vision and stepping out of your comfort zone. After all, solving big problems requires creativity, courage, and inner confidence, all of which propel you to the next level of your journey. Think of someone like Elon Musk, who didn't settle for just creating a tech company, but decided to tackle issues like renewable energy and space exploration. Of course, not everyone needs to dream that big, but the principle remains the same. Choose problems that matter and have the potential to transform your life and the lives of others. This could mean starting a community project, learning a challenging skill, or even confronting complex issues in your career. Pursuing bigger problems also provides valuable perspective. The small setbacks of daily life start to seem trivial. When you're busy solving significant issues like creating a sustainable financial plan or improving your company's culture, it becomes easier to overlook distractions. This not only strengthens your focus on priorities, but also boosts your confidence that you can overcome substantial challenges. A good starting point is to ask yourself, what problem am I solving right now? Does it have enough impact to justify my time and energy? If the answer is no, maybe it's time to redirect your efforts toward something bigger. For instance, instead of spending hours worrying about minor criticisms, focus on developing a project that truly matters to you, something that can benefit others, or create long-term opportunities. Solving larger problems is also a form of intentional learning. Each challenge requires you to expand your skills, deepen your knowledge, and explore new strategies. For example, if you decide to tackle leadership issues in your team, that might involve studying management books, attending workshops, and even seeking mentors. This ongoing self-development process transforms you not only into a more capable person, but also into an inspiration for others. When you begin to embrace large problems, you realize that life is no longer about avoiding difficulties. It's about overcoming them with purpose. Along the way, you come to understand that each obstacle faced contributes to a greater legacy. Now that we've explored all these transformative truths, it's time to reflect on them and discover how to apply these lessons in your daily life. We've reached the end of these 14 truths, but in reality, this is just the beginning of your journey. Knowing all this is the first step. Applying it is where the real magic happens. Now pause and think, which of these lessons resonated most with you? Which one do you feel you need to implement today without excuses? Because honestly, time won't wait for you to be ready. Change begins exactly where you are. Are you willing to break the patterns that limit you and face the necessary challenges to build the life you desire? Or will you continue on autopilot, letting life push you wherever it wants? The choice is yours. But remember, only you have the power to rewrite your story. The question is, what will your next move be? If you're ready to transform your worldview and want to keep learning how to apply these truths in your daily life, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, we're committed to bringing insights that truly make a difference. Don't miss the chance to continue growing. After all, the world needs the best version of you.